MMA Rants and Raves, UFC 126, Silva versus Belfort, quick preview. We're going to make a few points here, guys. For the very first time in Anderson Silva's career, he is going to be facing a striker on the level of which he has never seen before in his career. I mean, what Belfort brings to the table is unlike anything I think that's out there in mixed martial arts. I mean, he has this combination of extremely quick hands, power and aggression, and the way he moves across with his feet, he's just able to just blow guys away. He has that capability before they can really get into a groove and really have a fight as we know it, to actually have some kind of competition. He has that ability to end things quickly. And we've seen it against Wanderlei Silva. We saw it more recently in his last fight against Rich Franklin. So, he has that kind of capability. Rich Franklin also is a tough customer, and he was able to, finish that fight so quickly because he has that kind of capability to do that. So that's what makes this fight so interesting because, it's kind of interesting that, when people face Anderson Silva, he's such a high-level striker that guys try to take him out of that element. They try to wrestle with him to take him away from that because he's so dangerous in his striking. And it seems that it was successful to a degree. Dan Henderson tried it. He won that first round before, things turned against him later on in the fight. And then, of course, Chael Sonnen. He was like that much away from winning that fight until we know what happened. So it's really kind of interesting that, how fighters try to get him away from that. But in this fight, these are two guys that want to stand up. So they're going to want to go at it. No guy from either side is going to try to take either fighter out of their element. Like Randy Couture try to use, the clinch to neutralize Belfort's power, and that was how he was able to defeat him. So these guys are actually going to strike with each other, and that's what's going to make this fight so great, guys. It's really going to be a striking battle of two elite strikers, So, that's what's going to make this thing great. Now, what's interesting is I really haven't heard this mentioned is that Silva is coming in with a significant reach advantage. You're talking about a 77.6-inch reach advantage versus Belfort's 74-inch reach advantage. Of course, Silva is also 2 inches taller, so you're talking about, 3.6 inches in his reach. And this is especially significant when you have two fighters that want to strike. This is going to be a striking battle. We know that. So this is an advantage for Silva. And, the 2 inches that he has in height also complements his reach as well. Now, here's another point I want to make about Belfort. Despite how dangerous he is and how confident he is, and he should be with his striking, even against Anderson Silva, he's been training with Randy for a very long time, it seems now. And it makes you wonder, the Couture camp, a lot of it is about wrestling. That's a wrestling camp, amongst other things that they, probably train there. So I'm wondering if this guy, learned a lot of things about wrestling, if he's going to use some wrestling, because he might want to do that in this fight, and we just might see that, because that's the reach advantage that Silva has. He has all those other weapons that we haven't seen from Belfort. He's got those elbows that he uses, the knee strikes, and then he has that devastating Muay Thai clinch. Just look what he did to Rich Franklin, one of those. That was just nasty to look at. He's very dangerous. He's got like a multitude of weapons. So, it's going to be kind of interesting to see, what Belfort does. He might maybe want to try to take this to the ground. Maybe he's learned something over at that camp because, we know one thing about Silva, that's his weakness, his takedown defense and wrestling. So it's going to be kind of interesting if he tries to implement a strategy like that. We know Randy's going to be in his corner, so I can imagine what he's going to be telling him. So makes you wonder if he's going to try to, maybe get this to the ground. We know that Belfort should be okay. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Of course, he has to worry about that triangle. Everybody does. So that's going to make the match even more interesting. Maybe, keep Anderson Silva guessing. And it makes you wonder if the fight goes deeper, how well Belfort will do, in a 5-round battle. We know Silva can do it. He's been, in a 5-round fight before. So it's going to make you wonder about cardio. It's just something, that's just going to add to the interest in this fight. This is only part of all the great fights that are on this card, it's just crazy. I mean, you got Bader and Jones, you have Franklin and Griffin. You know, it's just going to be a totally stacked card. And there's one last thing I wanted to add. This is going to be Super Bowl weekend, and UFC 126 happens to be the same weekend as the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. And I just want to say, UFC 126 versus the Super Bowl, UFC 126 by rear naked choke. Enjoy the fights, guys, and thanks for tuning in.